My vengeance ends now.
Since they finally dropped the new god today, I would do a little new god guide. It's really not a guide so much as just kind of introducing anybody who hadn't seen this god yet. They were supposed to drop yesterday when they did the patch, but they apparently Hyro's messed up and they had to take him out, and they finally put him back in today. This is Achilles. It's one of the few people that you probably don't really need to know a lot of history on. They've done several movies, several books, and the coolest thing, I guess, or one of the big things about Achilles is his passive. You see the little sword icon? He has the ability to strip. It's not just a visual thing, too. When he's wearing his armor, he actually gets extra health and extra protections. And when he's topless, he has extra speed and extra attack. And as you level up, you'll see in his passive little meter, the little sword has got like a movement 3.2, and the two swords is 12. As you level up, they'll go up. Now, in jungle practice, for some reason, right now, like even if you go into the lane, a lot of times it'll pretend like you're in the fountain. After a while, this actually goes away to where you can't change again. So, I'm gonna go ahead and level up real quick. Just level up all my abilities. This way, you can see my passive goes up. I know a lot of people, because of his damage, are really just sticking in his offensive stance. But if you're really soloing, at one point you're probably going to want to go into his defense. And of course that also depends on who you're fighting. Because, let me see, I need to read his passive real quick, because I don't know if the protections are... It just says protections. Doesn't say if it's magical or physical. I'd imagine it's physical only. So it'll be one of those things where if you're fighting a mage solo for some reason, or a guardian solo that uses magic, it's really not going to be all that useful. I'm going to go ahead and level up all my abilities. Alright. Now his first ability, which is the big one, you're probably going to want to level up first, and it's the one that just got nerfed, but it didn't really get nerfed into the ground. It was a good nerf. There's this little cone. Now you can see there's two parts of the cone. There's the one that's kind of far away, and this one that's kind of blue. If you do it far away, it does quite a bit of damage. Now, if you do it in the beginning section of the cone, it will actually do bonus damage. And the other thing it'll do is it'll do a stun. Now, right now, if you were to go into the stun, it would say it levels up to 1.5. This also got nerfed today in the patch notes. And it will become basically 1 second stun at all ranks. So it'll still stun. It'll still be a good stun, but it won't be as broken. Because when I show you the combos here in a little bit, this stun can be a little too good. But boom, right there, which is pretty cool. His second ability is basically a buff. It's called Radiant Glory. It looks like this. It stays on for a while, then goes on cooldown. Now this buff does several things. It does give you a power bonus, and they didn't nerf this at all, so all this right now is going to still be the same. It does give you a power bonus of 15%, and that's percentage. A lot of times, physical power buffs will give you like 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 at the most. But this will actually give you percentage of your power, percentage of your protections, and crowd control reduction. So if you don't know what that is, a lot of crowd control, of course, has stuns, and they're all in seconds. Well, the reduction, you can percentage and lessen some of that. It doesn't work on everything. It's one of those ones where I don't even know all of them. Like, I think most of the knockups don't. It doesn't really work on the knockups. So there's a lot of items that have it, but it's one of those you don't usually build crowd control reduction. It's just kind of an extra little bonus. But also the big thing with this one is you do get some heals, and it does level up to where, so say you are in the middle of a big wave, you can do this after hitting your 2 ability, and you'll actually heal off of up to 4 enemies hit, which is pretty cool. Now the 3rd ability is pretty sweet too, and they did nerf it a little bit, but they only nerfed its cooldown. And when I get to item buildings, I will mention that cooldown reduction is something I really like to build on this god. The 3rd ability is a dash. They call it an 8-way dash because you can dash forward, back, left, right, and diagonal in all directions. But the cool thing is once you dash, you have the ability to do a hit. So let's do this. Boom. And you have this little thing. And it stays up for quite a while. Now, the big thing there is you see how it went down on cooldown. It's got like a 10-second cooldown, which it has been nerfed to 12 when the next patch comes out, which for consoles will be a couple weeks. So, if you actually hit them with the hit, you don't have any cooldown. And you can do it one more time before it goes back on the cooldown. So, it's an ability that you can proc twice, which is pretty cool, and it actually, item-wise, gives you a chance to be a little trolly. There's a few items that it'll proc multiple times because of the fact that you have a dash, and then a hit, and then a dash, and then a hit. Things like Hydra's Lament will actually proc, I believe, 5 times. Because you'll dash, and then you can, the thing is, you can cancel this, and then hit, and then cancel it, and then dash, and then hit again. So if you do a basic attack between all of that, let's see if I can try this. And boom. Every basic hit that you did in between all those abilities will actually have bonus damage added to them. Alright, now the thing that makes this god so excitable, besides of course the whole striptease, and I swear to god at some point they're going to do a Magic Mike skin for this. What I really hope they do at one point is do some sort of like Chris Farley Chippendale skin from the old Saturday Night Live sketches from the 80s. Oh, that would be so awesome. Actually, that might have been the 90s. I think it was kind of borderline. So his ultimate is basically it's an execute. Now, if you remember when I was doing Thanatos, where a certain percentage threshold, you hit him with it and it automatically executes. Now, with Thanatos, that threshold goes up. Achilles stays at 30%. That's one of the reasons why your ultimate will probably be your last ability that you level up. Of course, first put 1 point into it at level 5, but after that, you don't really need to touch it. I would say do your 1, and then your 3, then your 2, and then your ultimate. If you're in solo, and especially if you're really needing the extra defense and sustain, and then the extra physical power helps too, you can do 2 before 3. But I still think 3 is going to be more, because 3 at max rank actually kind of does more damage than his first ability if you hit all of his moves. Now his ultimate kind of looks like this. It's a big wind up and boom. If, like I said, if they're in 30% territory, it will kill them instantly. And like Thanatos, a little skull will show up when they're in that range. But there's one big difference to this execute. And I'll just show it to you. There's the skull. Look at that. I can do it again. For those who don't know who Scylla is yet, Scylla is a little girl character that has this ultimate where she like pulls these giant like tentacles out of her dress, and she has the ability to hit somebody for massive amounts of damage. And if she kills that person, she gets to do it again, and she could literally kill all 5 people if they're within. I mean, she can practically one-shot some squishies, but tanks and stuff, she'll probably need to have them whittled down. But it's even happened in the pro scene. You can look it up. You can see pro scenes where someone's got a triple quadra kill using Scylla's ultimate. And that's what you can do with this one. In fact, sadly, in this jungle practice, I can't show you, so I did do a little practice arena match, which I'll probably add on to this little god guide so you can see it in action, where I think I did three kills, 3 executes in a row. There is a downside to it where for every person you kill, you have an increase of 10% damage taken. But honestly, you're probably not going to do it like totally in the middle of a team fight and throwing yourself in the middle. And plus, if you're able to kill 3 or 4 people, and that will only last about 10 seconds. But here's where things get crazy in terms of all of his moves. Almost all of his moves, especially his dash and his ultimate, can be cancelled. Meaning, you saw me do a little bit where I can do a dash, then a hit, cancel it, then do this, and then do a dash, and then a hit. Or I can do the one in between the dash and the first hit. I can do the number 1 at towards the very end before the last hit. And you can also do this before your execution, and you can do it normally and do boom, execute. Or the crazy thing that you could do is when you do your execution, well, I'll show you. I can't show you executing multiple people, but I can show you this little interesting trick. And one of the reasons why they nerfed the stun. You could cancel this. You have 10 whole seconds while it's canceled. So in the middle of a team fight, 10 seconds is a long time. So you could execute, cancel it, hit pretty much all your abilities with full cooldown reduction. You can almost hit some of your abilities twice and then still bring up your execute. And it's pretty easy to pull off. So he's going to be one of those characters where, to be honest, he could actually be pretty easy. Just because he's got, this defense thing and the attack. Of course, you gotta realize, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the dash cooldown, I think I mentioned at the very beginning, it only works on gods. So it could be used for wave clear, but you're going to put it on cooldown unless you're able to poke the god when you hit the minions, because it will pierce through minions to hit a god. But yeah, he can do a ton of damage with things that are really easy. I mean, it's really easy just to pop your 1, boom, stun. Dodging's pretty easy. This move is fairly easy to pull off. And then the ultimate is a little tricky. But in the middle of a team fight, if you have someone with good CC, or you can, it's really easy just to stun and pull off your 1. So that's not a big thing. But in high level plays, it's going to come down to learning the timers on all your cooldowns and all your charges. Let's do items real quick. Since the big thing about Achilles right now is he's sort of solo / jungle because of his passive. So you can build him fairly offensive, you can build him pretty defensive, or you can do kind of a hybrid, which is kind of what I've been doing, especially since I don't play that much Conquest. I'm sort of waiting until I get level 30 so I can start in with the rank Conquest. But more than likely, I would imagine you're going to do physical boots. Because here's the thing, even as a jungler, you're not going to have your armor on, so you're almost always going to be topless. You gain 7% movement speed just with that. So already you're going to be pretty much faster than the base speed of almost every god. So I think the physical pin boots are going to be your best bet. So we do the physical boots. Stone of Gaia is going to be big probably on him. I think a lot of people who are building offensive will still probably put Stone of Gaia on him, or maybe even Breastplate of Valor, since he has a 20% cooldown reduction. So you could do my combo of Jotuns and Breastplate just to max out your cooldown. Another good first item to do is Gladiator Shield, because it's so cheap. It does give you 10% cooldown, some protection, some power, but the big one is anytime you hit enemy god with ability, you're healed. And the thing is it's sort of your buff and your ability is Gladiator Shield, so this will add an extra trigger to it. So that's actually quite a bit of sustain for a fairly offensive god. So that would be a good one. This is one of those ones where you can keep on them the whole time if you want, or towards the end you can sell it. Some other good moves is you can of course do Hydras. Like I said, with Hydras you can get those procs off with all of the with your dashes. Something that I haven't seen a whole lot, but since you're healing, Shield of Regrowth and it can be decent, I think. Mantle of Discord, if you need in the CC, it also gives you cooldown reduction, which isn't bad. Also, some of the other assassin items, Heartseeker would still be pretty good. I think even with the nerf that they just put today, would be pretty good for an offensive choice. Yeah, right here where you do 5 basic attacks and your next ability does, right now it's 100%, it's about to become 80. Any of these items, probably not Titans, because even though you're a solo person, you're really going to be fighting squishies most of the time, so you're not going to need the extra pin for tanks. Brawlers is good for anti-heating, Crusher's still good, especially if you're going to jungle, and Jotuns is good for the power and the cooldown reduction. So, you're probably only going to build crit if you're being really trolly. It's probably not something you're going to want to do. Masamune would be probably pretty good because of the power. You get a little bit of health and some movement speed as well. So, any of that's fine. I would probably say I like to do kind of a mix of everything. I like the shield, the Hydras, and then breastplate. Probably Gaia would have gone first, to be honest. And then maybe finishing off with Masamune or Crusher. So, these are pretty good. Like I said, you can sell the shield and get something else. Let's say if you're going to be a little more tanky, you can get Hide of the Urchin, or Spirit Robe would work real well too, I think. So, but I think it's going to be this for this guy. Like I said, this isn't really necessarily like how to play him as pro. I'm just giving you some items that can be useful, kind of going through his abilities and how his abilities work off of one another. So, let me know what you guys think of this. I might do this, especially whenever we get a new god. Let me know if you want to see anything like this with the other gods, because I can do some basic god guides, so that at least you know what the abilities are and how they work with one another and how they work off of certain items. I do have that type of knowledge. You probably won't see a lot of stuff like auto attack canceling. I can do that with some gods, like I gotten pretty good with Thanatos on that, but You're not going to really see that stuff here, unless I can just really have a day just to work it all out. If you heard a little crying, that was my little girl Serenity. She was kind of taking a nap, and she woke up, and now she's sleeping again. So I do apologize if you heard any of that, but I think I'm going to go off now. Stay around, stay tuned for more Smite videos. I plan on doing some more Let's Play and some more streaming, so keep up the support. Kratos out. Alright, I promised you a little Achilles arena action. I guess this is bots. Anytime I get a new god, I usually go into an arena practice mode, just because if you try to do a real PvP game, almost everybody's going to try to pick the new god. So, this is what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to pick my spot. I see, boom, there's an execute. I immediately cancel it. I start dodge, attack, dodge, and then boom, he's executable again. So I do it again. And then I just see that he's about to be executed, and I go for him, and then I go for a quadra kill. And somebody steals the kill right before I'm able to get it. But that's why Achilles is awesome. So anyways, Kratos out.